Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into Charles Dickens's masterpiece, A Tale of Two Cities. It's a story that grapples with a massive question. In a world absolutely ripped apart by injustice and revolution, what is a single human life really worth? We're going to break down how this incredible novel explores the absolute worst of human cruelty and, on the flip side, the incredible power of personal sacrifice. Everything, and I mean everything, kicks off with this simple three-word message. Just think about that for a second. Recalled to life. It's delivered on a dark, stormy night. It's so cryptic, so mysterious. It's a summons that literally pulls a man back from a living death, and in doing so, it sets off a chain reaction that will trap families and honestly change the course of history itself. So who is this person being recalled to life? Well, it's a man named Doctor Manette. For 18 long years, he was basically a ghost, locked away in secret inside the infamous Bastille prison. He was so completely erased from the world, he wasn't just a prisoner, he was a non-person. They took his memory, his profession, even his own name. And the damage of those 18 years, it was absolute. You can see it right here. He went in a respected doctor, full of life. He came out a broken shell of a man who just compulsively makes shoes. It was the only thing that kept him from going completely mad in his cell. When they ask him if he even wants to live, his only answer is a heartbreaking, "I can't say." Being released into the care of his daughter Lucie, a daughter he never even knew he had, is the moment that ties his personal tragedy to the fate of two giant cities, London and Paris.
But you gotta be asking, why? Why was he locked up in the first place? Well, his story is the key to understanding the deep, deep rot at the very core of the French aristocracy. We're talking about a system built on absolute power, unbelievable cruelty, and just a chilling indifference to human life.
To give you an idea of how absurd things were, get this. It took 4 servants just to help one nobleman drink his morning hot chocolate. 4 people for 1 cup of chocolate. This insane level of privilege is perfectly captured in one character, the Marquis St. Evremont. This guy is the living, breathing embodiment of the system's brutal arrogance. And if you thought the chocolate thing was bad, this is what the Marquis says right after his speeding carriage runs over and kills a child in the streets of Paris. He feels nothing, no remorse, just annoyance that the common folk are in his way. To him, their lives are literally worth less than dirt. This plea from the grieving father, it just says everything, doesn't it? The gap between the rich and the poor isn't just a gap, it's a canyon. It's unbridgeable. And in that one moment of shocking cruelty, when the Marquis just casually tosses a coin to the father for his dead son, right there, the seeds of a violent, terrible revenge are planted. All right, so let's shift scenes over to the streets of Saint Antoine. This is one of the poorest areas in Paris, and you can just feel the tension building. Here, a simple accident in the street becomes a terrifying prophecy of everything that's about to come. Dickens is an absolute master at this. He gives us this incredible image. A barrel of wine breaks open and the starving people rush into the street to drink it right out of the gutters. The stones are stained red. And sure, it's a literal thirst for wine, but it's foreshadowing a much darker thirst, doesn't it? A thirst for blood. And just in case we didn't get it, one man dips his finger in the dregs and writes that very word on a wall. Blood. Chilling. And soon enough, that prophecy comes true. The revolution just explodes. The Bastille, that ultimate symbol of oppression, is stormed. The people, led by unforgettable figures like the terrifyingly calm Madame Defarge, who literally knits a secret hit list of her enemies, they finally unleash centuries of rage. Their justice is fast, it's brutal, and it burns through everything in its path. But this is where the story takes a really dark, ironic turn. The revolution, which was born from a desire to end tyranny, ends up creating a brand new one. The dream of liberty is completely swallowed by the paranoia and bloodshed of what becomes known as the Reign of Terror. And the symbol of this new era? The guillotine. It wasn't just a machine for executions anymore. It became this object of obsession, even a kind of worship. They had nicknames for it, like the National Razor, and it delivered a horrifyingly efficient kind of justice, where all it took was an accusation to get a death sentence. 52. Just let that number sink in. 52. That's how many people are sentenced to die on the same day as our main characters.
That one number shows you the terrifying industrial scale of the killing. It stopped being about justice. This was slaughter, plain and simple, with carts rolling through Paris every single day filled with their human cargo. So, in the middle of all this violence, all this chaos, this huge story of history suddenly zooms way in to focus on the deeply personal story of two men. Now, these two guys, they look exactly alike, but in spirit, they are worlds apart. So on one side, you've got Charles Darnay. He's actually the nephew of that awful Marquis, but he's so horrified by his family that he gives up his name, his title, everything, and runs away to England. Then you have Sydney Carton. He's a brilliant lawyer, but he's also a cynical, self-hating alcoholic who thinks his life is a complete and utter waste. They're doppelgangers, and they share one other crucial thing. They are both in love with the same woman, Lucie Manette.
And right there, that's it. That is the core question of this entire novel. Is it possible to find redemption, even for someone who believes they are totally beyond hope? For Sydney Carton, the man who calls himself a jackal, the answer comes when Charles Darnay gets arrested by the revolutionaries and is sentenced to die. So what does he do? He comes up with this unbelievable, selfless plan. Using that uncanny resemblance, he gets into the prison, drugs Darnay, and switches places with him. He walks into that cell knowing he is never, ever walking out. By saving the man Lucie loves, Carton takes his own wasted life and, in its final moments, gives it the most profound meaning imaginable.
And as he's standing there, waiting for the guillotine, these words are echoing in his mind. Now, think about it. Remember where we started this whole journey? Recalled to life. His physical life is about to end, yes, but in this moment, his spirit is being reborn. He's being recalled to life in a way that is so much more powerful than even Dr. Manette's return from the Bastille.
These are the final thoughts we hear from Sydney Carton, and they have become some of the most famous last words in all of literature. He has a vision of the future, a peaceful future for the family he saved, a future where his memory is honored. In the end, this incredible tale of two cities shows us that even when faced with the worst brutality history has to offer, a single person's capacity for love and sacrifice can build something far, far better.